The text message wasn't meant for me. I stared at my wife's phone screen, still illuminated on our kitchen counter where she'd left it while showering upstairs. The notification had popped up just as I walked past with my morning coffee. Last night was incredible. Can't stop thinking about you. When can we do it again? The sender's name made my blood run cold. Derek Paulson. My boss. The man who'd just promoted me to senior director 3 weeks ago. My hands started shaking so badly I had to set down my mug. Coffee sloshed over the rim, spreading across the granite countertop in a dark puddle I couldn't bring myself to care about. 15 years of marriage. 2 kids sleeping upstairs. A mortgage we'd just refinanced. All of it crashing down around me because of 23 words on a screen. I heard the shower shut off upstairs. Without thinking, I grabbed my phone and took a photo of her screen. My photographer's instinct, maybe. I'd always been good at capturing moments, though this wasn't exactly the kind of moment I'd ever wanted to preserve. The bathroom door opened. I heard Amanda humming something cheerful, probably that new Taylor Swift song our daughter Emily wouldn't stop playing. My wife of 15 years, the mother of my children, was humming while I stood in our kitchen with evidence of her affair burning a hole in my phone. I deleted the photo from my recently deleted folder too. Then I backed it up to 3 separate cloud services. My mind was working on autopilot, running through scenarios, calculating angles. That's what I did for a living. Corporate photography and videography, always thinking 3 steps ahead about lighting, composition, backup plans. Amanda appeared in the doorway, wrapped in her blue terry cloth robe, her wet hair darkening the fabric at her shoulders. She was still beautiful at 39, still the woman who'd caught my eye at that college party 2 decades ago, still the person I'd trusted more than anyone in the world. "Morning, babe," she said, breezing past me to grab her phone. Her fingers closed around it, and I watched her face carefully. Not a flicker of concern. She glanced at the screen, swiped away the notification with practiced ease, and set it back down. "You okay? You look pale." "Didn't sleep great," I managed. My voice sounded normal. "How is that possible?" You were tossing and turning." She poured herself coffee, added the oat milk she'd switched to last month. "When had that happened? What else had I missed?" "I've got that early meeting today, remember? Probably won't be home until 7 or 8. "Right. The meeting." She kissed my cheek, and I forced myself not to flinch. Her lips felt like ice against my skin, though I knew they were warm. Everything felt wrong, tilted, like the world had shifted 5 degrees off its axis. "Can you handle pickup from soccer practice? Emily's got that thing at 4:30. "Yeah, I've got it." She smiled, squeezed my shoulder, and headed back upstairs to get dressed. I stood there listening to her footsteps, the creak of our bedroom floor, the sound of her closet door opening. Normal sounds. Morning routine sounds. Sounds I'd heard 10,000 times before. I pulled out my phone and looked at the photo again. The timestamp showed 7:47 a.m. The message had come in at 7:43, which meant Derek had sent it right after I'd left for my morning run. I'd been gone 45 minutes. Had she texted him during that time? Had they talked? My calendar showed today's date, October 12th, 2024, a Tuesday. Unremarkable in every way except that it was the day my marriage ended, even if Amanda didn't know it yet. I opened my laptop and started a new folder. Labeled it Project Files Q4 because I knew Amanda never looked at my work stuff. Then I created a document and started typing everything I could remember from the past few months. Her late meetings, the new clothes, the gym membership she'd suddenly gotten enthusiastic about, the way she'd angled her phone away from me lately when texting. All those little things I'd noticed but dismissed. All those moments I'd chosen to trust instead of question. The stairs creaked. I closed the laptop as Amanda came down, dressed in her navy suit, the expensive one she'd bought last month. For court appearances, she'd said. She was a paralegal at Whitmore and Associates, had been for 8 years. Good at her job. Respected. Or so I'd thought. "You sure you're okay?" she asked again, studying my face. "Just tired. You know how it is." "Well, don't work too hard today. Maybe take the afternoon off? You've been putting in crazy hours since the promotion." The promotion Derek had given me. The promotion that had probably been guilt or strategy or some twisted way of keeping me busy while he destroyed my life. "Maybe," I said. She grabbed her keys, her purse, her phone, kissed me again, this time on the lips. I tasted her mint toothpaste, smelled her perfume. Also new, I realized. When had she switched perfumes? "Love you," she called out, heading for the garage. I couldn't say it back. The words stuck in my throat like broken glass. She didn't seem to notice, or maybe she was too distracted thinking about Derek. The door closed. Her car started. I watched through the window as she backed out of the driveway, her brake lights flashing red before she disappeared down our tree-lined street. Then I sat down at the kitchen table and started planning. Because if there's one thing I'd learned in 15 years of professional photography, it's this. Timing is everything. And I was going to make damn sure I got this shot perfect. The office felt different when I walked in. Same fluorescent lights, same cubicles, same smell of burnt coffee and printer toner. But I was looking at it through a different lens now. Derek's office door was closed. His assistant, Brittany, glanced up from her desk and gave me a quick smile. "Morning. He's on a call with New York." "No problem, just dropping off the Hendrix footage." I'd shot a corporate retreat last week, team-building exercises, executive speeches, the usual manufactured enthusiasm. The raw files sat on a hard drive in my bag. I could have uploaded them remotely, but I needed to be here. Needed to see him. My own office was down the hall, a glass-walled box that felt more like an aquarium than a workspace. Senior Director of Visual Media. The promotion had come with a modest raise, a better parking spot, and apparently the privilege of being cuckolded by my boss. I sat down and opened my laptop. The hidden folder was still there, password protected. 3 screenshots of the text message backed up to 4 different cloud services. I'd also created a shared album, not shared yet, but ready. 1 click, and it would go to my personal email, my brother's email, and a dummy account I'd set up years ago for backup storage. My phone buzzed. "Amanda. Hope you're having a good morning. Can you grab Emily from practice?" I might be later than I thought. I stared at the message. She was good at this. Casual, domestic, the same kind of text she'd sent 1,000 times before. When had she gotten so good at lying? Sure, no problem. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "You're the best. Love you." My thumb hovered over the keyboard. 2 weeks ago, I would have sent back a heart emoji, maybe something funny. Now the words looked like a foreign language. "You too." I set the phone down and pulled up my calendar. Amanda had mentioned an early meeting, said she'd be gone until 7 or 8. I opened her shared calendar. We'd synced them years ago for coordinating kid schedules. There was nothing marked for today. No meetings, no appointments. Just a blank Tuesday. I took a screenshot of that too. Derek's door opened around 9:30. I heard his voice first, that easy laugh he used with clients. "Absolutely, we'll have those deliverables by end of week. You have my word." I stood up and walked to my doorway, timing it so I'd pass him in the hall. "Hey man," he clapped me on the shoulder. "Got those Hendrix files?" "Yeah, just about to upload them." "Perfect. Great work on that, by the way. The CEO specifically mentioned your camera work during the Q&A session." He was wearing a gray suit, blue tie. Same cologne he always wore. Something expensive that Amanda had helped me pick out for his birthday 2 years ago. I wondered if he'd worn it last night. Thanks. Just doing my job. Well, you're doing it damn well. Listen, I've got back-to-back meetings today, but let's grab lunch tomorrow. There's a project coming up I want to loop you in on. Sounds good. He walked away, already pulling out his phone. I watched him go, cataloging details the way I did when framing a shot. The way his left hand went to his tie, adjusting it. The slight hitch in his stride. Old football injury he'd mentioned once. The confidence in his shoulders. This was the man my wife had texted with at 7:43 this morning. The man she'd been with last night. I went back to my office and pulled up the company directory. Derek Paulson, Vice President of Marketing and Communications. Married to Jennifer Paulson, 2 kids in private school. I'd met her at the holiday party last year. Blonde, polished, worked in pharmaceutical sales. She'd talked about their vacation to Turks and Caicos, while Amanda nodded along, drinking wine from a plastic cup. Had it started then? Or earlier? I opened a new browser window and searched for divorce attorneys in Chicago. The first few results were big firms with corporate websites, smiling lawyers in expensive suits. I scrolled past those. What I needed was someone scrappy, someone who handled cases like this every day. Kaplan and Associates. The website was plain, functional, specializing in high-conflict divorce, asset protection, and custody disputes. I clicked on the attorney bios. 3 lawyers, all with decades of experience. One of them, Rebecca Kaplan, had a quote on her page. "I believe in fighting for what's fair, not what's easy." I bookmarked it. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a calendar notification. Emily's soccer practice ended at 3:30. I had a shoot scheduled at 2. Headshots for a new hire in accounting. Should take an hour, maybe less if the guy wasn't camera shy. I pulled up the Hendrix files and started the upload. While the progress bar crawled across the screen, I opened my personal email and started a new draft. Subject: Documentation. 2. My brother's email. Attached, you'll find screenshots from this morning. If something happens to my main accounts, these are backed up here. Password for the shared album is Emily's birthday plus our old address number. Don't open unless I tell you to. I didn't send it. Just saved it as a draft, ready to go. The morning dragged. I edited footage, responded to emails, sat through a video call about rebranding guidelines. Every few minutes I'd check Amanda's location on Find My Friends. We'd set it up years ago, another one of those couple things that seemed smart at the time. She was downtown, her little icon hovering near the office where she worked. Or where she said she worked. At noon, I drove to a sandwich shop 3 blocks from Whitmore and Associates. I parked across the street and waited. The lunch rush started around 12:15, people streaming out of office buildings in search of food. I watched the entrance to her building. She appeared at 12:47, walking out with 2 other women I didn't recognize. They were laughing about something, Amanda's head thrown back in that way she did when something genuinely amused her. She was wearing the navy suit, her hair pulled back. Professional, competent, exactly the person I'd thought I knew. They walked to a Thai place 2 doors down. I took a photo with my phone, then another. Not for evidence. I had plenty of that already. These were for me, proof that she could still laugh while my world was falling apart. They stayed for 40 minutes. I watched them through the restaurant window, 3 women having lunch, probably talking about work or weekend plans or the weather. Normal. Everything looked so goddamn normal. When Amanda walked back to her building, she pulled out her phone. I watched her type something, her thumbs moving quickly. My phone stayed silent. She wasn't texting me. I drove back to the office. The headshot session at 2 went fine. The new hire was nervous but took direction well. I shot him against the standard backdrop, adjusted the lighting, made small talk about his move to Chicago. He'd come from Milwaukee, had a wife and a baby on the way. Congratulations, I said, and meant it. Thanks, man. It's exciting. Terrifying, but exciting. Yeah, that sounds about right. By 3 o'clock, I was done. I packed up my equipment and headed to Emily's school. The parking lot was already filling up with other parents, minivans, and SUVs idling near the athletic fields. I found a spot and waited. My phone buzzed. Not Amanda this time, Derek. Tomorrow's lunch might need to be pushed. Jennifer's got a thing. I'll keep you posted. Jennifer's got a thing. His wife. The one who didn't know her husband was sleeping with my wife. I typed back, "No problem, let me know." The soccer team emerged from the field house at 3:35, a swarm of girls in matching jerseys. Emily spotted my car and jogged over, her cleats crunching on the gravel. "Hey, Dad, where's Mom?" "Working late. You're stuck with me." She climbed into the back seat, dropping her bag on the floor. "Can we get ice cream?" "Sure, why not?" We went to the place on Maple Street, the one with the hand-dipped cones and the picnic tables out front. Emily got mint chocolate chip. I got nothing, just sat across from her while she talked about practice, about a girl named Zoe who'd scored 3 goals during scrimmage, about her math homework. Normal. Everything was still so normal. "Dad, you okay?" I looked up. She was watching me, concern in her eyes. 9 years old and already learning to read faces. "Yeah, sweetie, just tired." "You look sad." "Just a long day at work." She nodded, accepting this, and went back to her ice cream. I watched her and thought about custody arrangements, about splitting holidays, about explaining to her why Mommy and Daddy didn't live together anymore. Not yet. I wasn't ready for that conversation yet. We got home at 5. I made spaghetti for dinner, helped Emily with her homework, let her watch TV until bedtime. The house felt hollow without Amanda, even though I'd spent plenty of evenings alone with the kids before. At 7:52, headlights swept across the living room window. Amanda's car in the driveway. I stayed on the couch, listening to her footsteps on the porch, the jingle of her keys, the door opening. "Hey," she sounded tired but cheerful. "Sorry I'm so late. The meeting ran long and then traffic was a nightmare." "No problem. There's leftover spaghetti in the fridge." She came into the living room, already pulling off her heels. "You're the best. How was Emily's practice?" "Good. She said Zoe scored 3 goals. That girl's going to get a scholarship someday." Amanda collapsed onto the couch next to me, close enough that I could smell her perfume. The new one. "What are you watching?" "Nothing really, just background noise." She leaned her head on my shoulder and I felt my body go rigid. She didn't seem to notice. "Long day," she murmured. "I'm exhausted." I thought about the screenshots in my hidden folder, the blank calendar, the lunch with her coworkers while I sat in my car across the street. "Yeah," I said. "Me too." The puzzle sat on the dining room table where it had been for 3 weeks. Amanda's Tuesday night ritual. Her me time, she'd called it. Every Tuesday evening while I put Emily to bed, Amanda would work on her 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzles at the table, glass of wine beside her, claiming it helped her decompress from work stress. I'd thought it was sweet, wholesome even. Now, standing in the dining room at 9:47 p.m. on Wednesday night, Emily asleep upstairs, Amanda at another late meeting, I looked at the half-completed puzzle with different eyes. The image was coming together. A Chicago skyline at sunset, the kind of generic cityscape you'd find at any hobby store. But something was off. I'd walked past this table dozens of times. I'd seen Amanda hunched over it, carefully placing pieces, her face relaxed in concentration. I'd never paid close attention to the actual puzzle itself. Until now. There were gaps. Not the normal gaps of an unfinished puzzle, but specific spaces where pieces should have fit but didn't. The box sat next to the puzzle, lid slightly askew. I'd seen Amanda rummage through that box countless times, searching for edge pieces, corner pieces, that one specific shape that would complete a section. My photographer's eye caught it immediately. The missing pieces weren't random. They formed a pattern in the gaps, letters, almost, or initials. I pulled out my phone and took a photo of the incomplete puzzle, then zoomed in on the gaps. D.P. Derek Paulson. My hands weren't shaking anymore. That had stopped sometime around lunch today, replaced by something colder. Something that noticed details and cataloged them with the same precision I used to frame corporate headshots. I lifted the puzzle box. Light. Too light for how many pieces should still be inside. The remaining pieces rattled as I tilted it. I poured them onto the table, maybe 50 pieces, scattered across the dark wood. Not nearly enough to complete the puzzle. Then I saw it. Tucked in the bottom corner of the box, folded into a small square. Paper. I pulled it out, unfolded it carefully. The creases were sharp, deliberate. Amanda's handwriting, the same neat script she used for grocery lists and Emily's permission slips. I can't keep pretending Tuesday nights are about puzzles. I need to see you. The hotel room, the stolen hours. It's not enough anymore. We need to figure this out. No signature, no date. But the words were there, permanent, damning. I read it twice, 3 times. Then I noticed something else in the box. Pieces that didn't match the Chicago skyline puzzle. Different cardboard thickness, different finish. I pulled them out. 6 pieces, custom cut, not from any commercial puzzle. Each one shaped like a letter. D-E-R-E-K-P. I arranged them on the table. The cuts were precise, professional. Someone had made these specially, cut them to fit specific spaces in the puzzle. A gift, maybe. An inside joke. My phone buzzed. Amanda. Meeting running late. Don't wait up. Love you. I took photos of everything. The note. The custom pieces. The gaps in the puzzle that spelled out Derek's initials. I uploaded them to the encrypted folder I'd created yesterday. The one backed up to 3 separate cloud services. The one with copies sent to an email account Amanda didn't know existed. Then I sat down at the table and started working on the puzzle. Not to complete it. To understand it. I found the spaces where the custom pieces would fit. Right in the center of the Chicago skyline, where the Willis Tower should be. The pieces slid in perfectly, forming Derek's initials against the sunset backdrop. A puzzle within a puzzle. A secret hidden in plain sight. I thought about all those Tuesday nights. Amanda at this table, me upstairs with Emily, reading bedtime stories about princesses and dragons. The sounds of puzzle pieces clicking into place drifting up through the floorboards. Normal sounds. Domestic sounds. Sounds that meant something entirely different now. I pulled out the pieces again, returned them to the box with a note. Put everything back exactly as I'd found it. The puzzle remained half-finished on the table, gaps spelling out initials I'd never noticed before. My phone showed 10:23 p.m. Amanda's meeting would probably run until 11, maybe later. Plenty of time. I went to the garage and found what I needed. The label maker from my office supplies, clear packing tape, a box cutter. In Emily's craft drawer, I located her set of alphabet stencils and tracing paper. Back at the dining room table, I studied the custom puzzle pieces again. Photographed them from every angle, measured their dimensions with a ruler. The cuts were clean, professional. Someone had used a scroll saw or laser cutter, not just scissors. I could do better. In my home office, I opened the design software I used for work projects. Started creating templates, letter shapes that would fit puzzle piece patterns. I'd need cardboard, precision cutting tools, patience. But I had all 3. The idea formed slowly, methodically. Not rage, not yet. Just cold calculation, The same process I used to plan complex photo shoots. Identify the objective. Gather resources. Execute with precision. I spent an hour designing, printing, measuring. Created templates for every letter of the alphabet, sized to match standard puzzle piece dimensions. Downloaded images of Derek's car from the company parking lot. I'd photographed it months ago for a facility's newsletter. Black Audi A6, license plate visible. At 11:34 p.m., I heard Amanda's car in the driveway. I closed my laptop, turned off the office light, and went downstairs. By the time she opened the front door, I was on the couch with my tablet, scrolling through photography blogs like I'd been there all evening. "Hey, babe." She dropped her bag by the door, kicked off her heels. "Sorry it ran so late." "No problem." I didn't look up from the tablet. "Emily went down easy. She wanted you to know she finished her book report." "Oh, good." Amanda moved into the kitchen, opened the refrigerator. "I'm starving. Did you eat?" "Yeah, there's leftover pasta if you want it." She heated up the pasta, poured herself a glass of wine, and settled at the dining room table, right next to her puzzle. I watched her from the couch. She ate mechanically, scrolling through her phone with one hand. Didn't even glance at the puzzle. Didn't notice I'd moved anything, touched anything, discovered anything. "I think I'm going to finish this one soon," she said, gesturing at the puzzle with her fork. "Maybe start a new one next Tuesday." "Yeah? What's the next one?" "I don't know yet. Maybe something easier. This Chicago one has been frustrating. I keep losing pieces." The lie came so easily, so casually. I made a non-committal sound and went back to my tablet. Amanda finished eating, rinsed her plate, kissed the top of my head on her way upstairs. "I'm exhausted. Coming to bed soon?" "In a bit. Want to finish this article?" "Okay. Love you." "Love you too." I waited until I heard the shower running upstairs. Then I went back to my office and continued designing. The templates were perfect by midnight. Letter shapes, puzzle piece patterns, measurements precise to the millimeter. I saved everything to a USB drive, cleared my browser history, shut down the computer. Upstairs, Amanda was already asleep, her damp hair spread across the pillow. She'd taken her sleeping pill, the prescription she'd started 3 months ago for work stress. Another detail I'd missed, another change I'd dismissed. I lay beside her in the dark, listening to her breathe. Tomorrow I'd go to the craft store, buy supplies, start cutting pieces, and I'd find out exactly where Derek Paulson parked his car. The puzzle pieces arrived Thursday morning in unmarked packaging. 500 custom-cut acrylic pieces, each one laser-etched with microscopic precision. I'd paid extra for overnight production at a specialty shop in Milwaukee that didn't ask questions about the designs. I spread them across my workbench in the garage, examining the edges under my magnifying lamp. Perfect. Each piece interlocked exactly as I'd programmed, forming words when assembled correctly. Words Derek would have plenty of time to read. Amanda had left for work at her usual time, kissing my cheek and reminding me about Emily's soccer practice at 4. I'd nodded, sipped my coffee, watched her taillights disappear down the street. Normal. Everything had to stay normal. My phone buzzed. The GPS tracker I'd placed on Derek's Audi 2 nights ago, a magnetic unit smaller than a deck of cards, attached behind his rear bumper while he and Amanda were inside the Radisson downtown. The car was moving, leaving his house in Winnetka, heading south toward the office. I had maybe 40 minutes. I loaded the puzzle pieces into a plastic storage bin, added the industrial adhesive I'd purchased from a theatrical supply company, and threw in a pair of nitrile gloves. The bomb puzzles, foam board constructions designed to look authentic enough to cause panic, but obviously fake upon any inspection, went into a separate bag. I'd spent 3 hours last night watching YouTube videos on prop making, learning how to create something that screamed explosive device without actually being dangerous or illegal. Technically, the drive to Derek's office took 22 minutes. I parked 3 blocks away in a public lot, pulling my baseball cap low and keeping my head down. The photographer's instinct again, knowing camera angles, blind spots, how to move through space without drawing attention. Derek's Audi sat in its reserved spot near the building entrance. VP of Marketing and Communications. The brass nameplate gleamed in the October sun. I worked quickly. The puzzle pieces went on the windshield first, each one coated with a thin layer of adhesive and pressed firmly against the glass. They formed sentences when viewed from the driver's seat. I know about Amanda. I know everything. Puzzle this out, Derek. The pieces interlocked perfectly, creating an opaque barrier across the entire windshield. He wouldn't be able to see through it, wouldn't be able to drive, would have to stand there in the parking lot, peeling off piece after piece, reading my message letter by letter while anyone could walk past and see. The bomb puzzles went under the driver's seat. 3 foam board boxes wrapped in electrical tape with LED timers hot glued to the surface. The timers blinked red numbers in countdown format, though they weren't connected to anything. Just battery-powered clock displays I'd reprogrammed to show descending numbers. I'd left the car unlocked. A risk, but Derek was careless. I'd watched him through my telephoto lens twice this week, seen him leave the Audi unlocked while running into Starbucks while picking up dry cleaning. A man who didn't think consequences applied to him. The boxes slid easily under the seat, barely visible but impossible to miss once he sat down and felt them with his feet. I was back in my car 11 minutes after I'd arrived. My hands didn't shake. That surprised me. 3 days ago, seeing that text message had made my whole body tremble. Now, placing fake bombs in my boss's car, I felt nothing but cold focus. The same focus I used when setting up a difficult shot, calculating angles and exposure and timing. I drove to a coffee shop with outdoor seating, positioned myself with a clear view of the parking lot exit, and waited. Derek's car didn't move for 2 hours. I ordered a second coffee, then a third. Checked the GPS tracker obsessively. The Audi remained stationary. Maybe he was in meetings. Maybe he wouldn't leave until lunch. Maybe. My phone rang. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail, then listened to the message 30 seconds later. Mr. Anderson, this is Officer Ryan Mitchell with the Chicago Police Department. We need you to come down to the station to answer some questions regarding an incident at your workplace. Please call this number as soon as possible. I deleted the voicemail. Took a sip of coffee. Watched a young mother push a stroller past the window. The GPS showed Derek's car still hadn't moved. My work phone buzzed. A text from Janet in HR. Need to see you in my office immediately. Do not go to your desk. I turned the phone off. The puzzle pieces on Derek's windshield would take him at least 20 minutes to remove, assuming he didn't just call someone to do it for him. But the bomb puzzles, those would require police involvement. Bomb squad, probably. Evacuation of nearby vehicles. A whole production. I wondered if Amanda knew yet. If someone had called her, told her about the incident in Derek's car. If she was putting the pieces together. Puzzle pieces. I almost laughed. My personal phone rang again. Amanda this time. I answered on the third ring. Hey, where are you? Her voice was tight, controlled. The police called me. They're looking for you. I'm getting coffee. They found something in Derek's car. Some kind of, they think it might be explosives. They evacuated the whole building. That sounds serious. A pause. Long enough that I could hear her breathing. They found your fingerprints on his car door. I hadn't worn gloves for the door. Stupid, careless, or maybe intentional. Some part of me that wanted this to explode, wanted everything to come out into the open. I don't know what you're talking about, I said. The puzzle pieces on his windshield. They had words on them. About me. So she did know. Of course she knew. Derek had probably called her the second he saw his car before he even called the police. Interesting, I said. What kind of words? Stop this. Her voice cracked. Whatever you think you know, I know everything, Amanda. I've known since Tuesday. I have the text messages, the photos, the note you left in your puzzle box, the custom pieces with his initials. Silence. I have a lawyer, I continued. I have documentation. I have evidence backed up in 7 different locations. And I have a very good chance of getting primary custody of Emily and keeping the house, including my game room and all my equipment. You put fake bombs in his car. Her voice was barely a whisper. You could go to jail. Maybe. Or maybe Derek will decide not to press charges once he realizes that a trial would mean all the evidence of your affair becoming public record. His wife might be interested in that. His employer definitely would be. I heard her breath hitch. You need to come home, she said. We need to talk about this. I'll be home at 3:30. I have to pick up Emily from school at 3:45. Soccer practice at 4, remember? You mentioned it this morning. Please. I hung up. The GPS tracker showed Derek's car finally moving. Not toward home or the office, but to the police station on Clark Street. Of course, he'd have to file a report, give a statement, explain why someone might want to threaten him, explain about the affair, explain about Amanda. My phone rang again. The police number. Then Janet from HR. Then a number I didn't recognize. I turned the phone off completely and sat in the coffee shop, watching people walk past the window. Normal people doing normal things, going to work, meeting friends, living lives that hadn't splintered into puzzle pieces. I had 45 minutes before I needed to pick up Emily. Time enough to go home, pack a bag, and be gone before Amanda arrived. Time enough to call my lawyer, Robert Brennan, the third attorney I'd consulted, the one who'd outlined exactly how to protect my assets and my parental rights. Time enough to start the next phase. But I didn't move. I sat there with my cold coffee, thinking about Tuesday night. About Amanda sitting at the dining room table with her jigsaw puzzle, carefully removing the pieces that spelled Derek's name. Hiding them. Hiding him. Hiding everything while I worked late, while I trusted her, while I built a life I thought we both wanted. The puzzle box was still in the garage. I'd left it exactly where I found it, hadn't touched it since Wednesday night. Evidence, documentation, proof. My phone vibrated in my pocket even though I'd turned it off. No, my work phone, still in my jacket. I'd forgotten about that one. I pulled it out. A text from Derek's number. We need to talk, face to face, no police, just us. I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I typed back, game room, my house, 6 p.m., come alone. His response came immediately. Agreed. I finished my coffee and headed home to prepare. The doorbell rang at exactly 5:58 p.m. I'd spent the last hour in my home office watching Derek's Mercedes pull into my driveway through the window blinds. He'd arrived early, sitting in his car for 3 minutes before finally stepping out. Professional habit, always scope the terrain before entering unfamiliar territory. I let him ring twice before answering. Derek stood on my porch in business casual, khakis and a polo shirt that probably cost more than my monthly car payment. His face carried the same practiced confidence I'd seen in countless company meetings, but his eyes betrayed something else. Calculation. Maybe fear. Thanks for agreeing to meet, he said. I stepped aside without a word. He walked past me into the foyer, and I caught the scent of expensive cologne. The same cologne I'd smelled on Amanda's clothes when she came home from her puzzle nights. Living room, I said, gesturing. He settled onto the edge of my couch, Amanda's favorite spot for Sunday morning coffee, and I took the armchair across from him. The coffee table between us held a manila folder I'd prepared. Derek's eyes fixed on it immediately. I'm going to be direct, he said. The police contacted me about the incident yesterday. They found your fingerprints on the puzzle pieces. Did they? They're treating it as a credible threat. The fake bombs, the messages, they're taking it seriously. He leaned forward. I could press charges, harassment, terroristic threats, criminal mischief. My attorney says we have a solid case. I stayed silent, watching him. Photographer's instinct. Sometimes the best shot comes when you wait for the subject to fill the uncomfortable space. But I don't want to do that, Derek continued. I want to handle this like adults, professionally. Professionally. The word tasted like ash. Is that what you call sleeping with your employee's wife? His jaw tightened. I know you're angry. Do you know what's in this folder? I tapped the manila envelope. Timestamps, screenshots, photos of Amanda's car parked outside your condo building on Maple Street. Receipts from the Sheraton where you checked in last Tuesday under her maiden name. Credit card statements showing you paid for her new gym membership, the one she claimed was a birthday gift from her sister. Derek's composure cracked slightly. You've been following her. Documenting. There's a difference. I opened the folder, spreading photos across the coffee table. October 5th, 7:47 p.m. October 12th, 8:23 p.m. October 19th, 9:15 p.m. Every Tuesday for the last 3 months. Same pattern. He stared at the evidence, and I watched the calculations running behind his eyes. This wasn't the conversation he'd expected. Here's what's going to happen, I said. You're going to sit there and listen. Then you're going to make a choice. I'm not here to be threatened. Neither was I when I found your text message. My voice stayed level, controlled. But here we are. Derek sat back, arms crossed. The defensive posture of someone who'd lost the upper hand. I've already filed for divorce, I continued. My attorney has copies of everything in this folder. Amanda doesn't know yet. I wanted her to keep acting naturally while I gathered evidence. Illinois is technically a no-fault state, but judges still consider conduct when dividing assets and determining custody. What do you want? I want you to understand your position. I pulled out another photo, Derek and Amanda at a restaurant downtown, his hand on her lower back. Your wife Jennifer doesn't know about the affair. Neither does your boss, the CEO, neither does HR. His face went pale. You're blackmailing me. I'm giving you options. I leaned forward. Option 1. You cooperate. You provide a written statement admitting to the affair, including dates and locations. You agree not to contest my evidence in divorce proceedings. You stay away from Amanda. No contact, no texts, nothing. And you don't press charges for yesterday's incident. And if I refuse? Option 2. This folder gets copied to Jennifer, to your CEO, to HR, and to every divorce attorney in Chicago who might represent Amanda. The fake bomb incident becomes public record through the police investigation, and I make sure every news outlet knows it was connected to you sleeping with a subordinate's wife. Your professional reputation gets destroyed right alongside your marriage. Derek's hands gripped his knees. You're insane. I'm methodical. I pulled out the final document, a printed statement, 2 pages long. Option 1 includes this. You sign it, date it, and I witness it. Then you leave my house and my life. The police investigation goes away because I convinced them it was a misunderstanding. Heat of the moment, already resolved between us. No charges filed. He stared at the statement without touching it. You've thought this through. I had time. While you were sleeping with my wife, I was planning. I set a pen on top of the paper. While she was lying to our daughter about puzzle night, I was building a case. While you were giving me that promotion, guilt or strategy, I still haven't decided. I was documenting everything. The promotion wasn't, save it. I stood, walking to the window. Derek's Mercedes sat in my driveway, parked where Amanda usually left her SUV. I don't care about your justifications. I don't care if you love her or if it was just convenient. I care about my daughter. I care about keeping my house and my savings and my game room where Emily and I build Lego sets on Saturday mornings. The silence stretched between us. Outside, a neighbor walked their dog past my lawn. Normal evening in a normal suburb. Except nothing was normal anymore. If I sign this, Derek said quietly, what happens to Amanda? That's not your concern anymore. She'll know I cooperated. She'll hate me. I turned to face him. She already chose you over 15 years of marriage. Whether she hates you now is irrelevant to me. This is about protecting my interests and my daughter's future. Derek picked up the pen, his hand shaking slightly. He read through the statement, a detailed confession of the affair, including specific dates, locations, and acknowledgement that it began while he was my direct supervisor. Legal dynamite in any divorce proceeding. You're a cold son of a... Sign it or leave. Your choice. He signed. 2 pages, initials on each paragraph, full signature at the bottom. I witnessed it with my own signature and today's date. October 27th, 2024, 6:14 p.m. I took the document, slipping it back into the folder. The puzzle pieces on your car, consider them a warning. The fake bombs were theater. If you contact Amanda again, if you interfere in my divorce, if you breathe a word about this conversation to anyone except your own attorney, I won't use props next time. Derek stood, his face flushed. You're threatening me now? I'm establishing boundaries. I walked him to the door. The police investigation will disappear by Monday. I'll tell them we resolved our personal dispute, that I overreacted to a misunderstanding. They'll be relieved. One less case clogging the system. He stopped at the threshold. What about Jennifer, my wife? That depends on you. Stay away from Amanda, honor this statement, and Jennifer never needs to know. Break our agreement, and she gets a copy delivered to her office. Derek stepped onto the porch, then turned back. You know this won't make her love you again? I don't want her love anymore. I held his gaze. I want my daughter's stability and my financial security. Amanda made her choice. Now you've made yours. I closed the door before he could respond. Through the window, I watched him walk to his Mercedes, shoulders slumped. He sat in the driver's seat for a full minute before starting the engine. The brake lights flared red as he backed out of my driveway, then disappeared down the tree-lined street. The folder sat on my coffee table, heavier now with Derek's signed confession. I pulled out my phone and texted my attorney. Package secured. Meeting tomorrow to discuss next steps. Her response came within seconds. Well done. 10 a.m. at my office. I poured myself a bourbon, Maker's Mark, the bottle Amanda had given me for our anniversary last year, and stood in my game room. The jigsaw puzzle still sat on the card table, pieces scattered around the edges. Her puzzle. Her lie. I swept the pieces into the box and carried it to the garage, dropping it in the trash bin. The hollow thud echoed in the empty space where Amanda's SUV usually parked. Tomorrow I'd tell her about the divorce. Tonight, I had Emily's soccer practice to prepare for, dinner to make, and a bedtime story to read. Normal dad things, the life that mattered. My phone buzzed. Amanda. Running late. Pizza okay for dinner? I deleted the message without responding. The divorce papers arrived at Amanda's office on a Tuesday. Rebecca called me at 2:47 p.m. to confirm delivery. Process server just texted. She signed for the envelope at 2:43. You should expect contact soon. I was at Emily's school, photographing the fall festival for the PTA. Kids in costumes, parents manning game booths, the smell of popcorn and cider. My phone sat in my pocket like a loaded gun. Thanks, Rebecca. Remember what we discussed. Don't engage beyond acknowledging receipt. Don't explain, don't justify, Don't negotiate. Everything goes through me now. Understood. I slid the phone back into my pocket and raised my camera. Through the viewfinder, I found Emily at the ring toss, her friend Madison cheering as she landed a perfect throw. The shutter clicked. Normal, documented, preserved. My phone buzzed at 3:12 p.m., then again at 3:13, 3:14, 3:15. I didn't look. I photographed the costume parade, the pie-eating contest, the principal handing out ribbons. My phone kept buzzing against my leg, a steady rhythm of panic from 8 miles away. At 4:30, I packed up my equipment and collected Emily from the bounce house. She was sweaty and grinning, her face painted like a butterfly. "Can Madison come over?" she asked. "Not tonight, sweetie. Maybe this weekend." "Is Mom picking me up for dinner?" Tuesday. Amanda's puzzle night. Except there was no puzzle night anymore. Hadn't been for 3 weeks. She'd stopped going after Derek signed the statement, after I'd made it clear her lies had consequences. "Mom's working late," I said. "Just us tonight." Emily shrugged and climbed into the car, already absorbed in some game on her tablet. I checked my phone at the first red light. 47 missed calls from Amanda. 63 text messages. I scrolled through them without opening the threads. The previews told me everything I needed to know. What the hell is this? Call me right now. You can't be serious. We need to talk about this. I'm coming home. Answer your phone. This is insane. The messages shifted around 3:45. Please, can we just talk? I know I messed up, but this? Emily doesn't deserve this. Please don't do this. I set the phone face down in the cup holder and drove home. Emily wanted mac and cheese. I made it from scratch the way she liked, with 3 kinds of cheese and breadcrumb topping. She sat at the kitchen table doing homework while I cooked, the normalcy of it almost painful. "Dad? Yeah? Is everything okay?" I looked at her. 9 years old, too perceptive, Amanda's eyes in a face that still had baby roundness in the cheeks. "Why do you ask?" "You seem sad." I turned back to the stove, stirring the sauce. "Just tired, Em. Work stuff." "Mom seems sad too." My hand tightened on the wooden spoon. "Yeah? She cries sometimes, in her room. She thinks I don't hear, but I do." The sauce bubbled. I lowered the heat and set down the spoon. "Sometimes grown-ups go through hard things," I said carefully. "But it's not your job to worry about it, okay? That's our job." "Are you and Mom getting divorced?" The question hit like a fist to the sternum. I turned around. Emily was watching me with those 2 old eyes, her pencil frozen over her math worksheet. "What makes you ask that?" "Madison's parents got divorced last year. Her mom cried a lot too. And her dad moved to an apartment." I crossed to the table and sat down across from her. "Your mom and I are having some problems, adult problems. But whatever happens, we both love you more than anything. That will never change." "But you are getting divorced." Not a question this time. "Probably," I said. "Yeah." She nodded slowly, like I'd confirmed something she'd already known. "Will I have to move?" "No. This is your home. That won't change." "Will you move?" "I don't know yet, sweetie. We're still figuring things out." She looked down at her worksheet. "Okay. Are you okay?" "I guess." She picked up her pencil. "Can I still have mac and cheese?" "Yeah, of course." I went back to the stove, my hands shaking as I drained the pasta. 9 years old and already learning that the people who promised forever could break like glass. Amanda's car pulled into the driveway at 7:23 p.m. Emily was upstairs in the bath. I was loading the dishwasher, the kitchen cleaned, and put back together. Everything in its place except the marriage that used to live here. I heard her key in the lock. The front door opened. "Where is she?" Amanda's voice, tight and strained. "Upstairs, Bath time. She appeared in the kitchen doorway. She looked wrecked, makeup smeared, eyes red, still wearing her work clothes but rumpled, like she'd been sitting in her car crying. Probably had been. We need to talk. Everything goes through Rebecca now. I closed the dishwasher and turned it on. You should contact your attorney. I don't have an attorney. I didn't know I needed one until 3 hours ago when some stranger handed me divorce papers at my desk, in front of my entire office. That's how service works. Don't. Her voice cracked. Don't do that. Don't be cold. Not after 15 years. I leaned against the counter and looked at her. You want to talk about cold? About doing things in front of people? How about doing Derek in a hotel room while I was home with our daughter? How about lying to my face every Tuesday for 6 months? It wasn't 6 months. The puzzle club started in April. It's November. You're right, that's 7 months. She flinched. I ended it 3 weeks ago. After whatever you did to Derek. He won't even talk to me now. He transferred me to a different attorney's cases. Won't look at me in meetings. Good. This isn't fair. I laughed, sharp and bitter. Fair? You want to talk about fair? I made a mistake. I know that. I'm sorry. But divorce? You didn't even try to work it out. You didn't give me a chance to. I gave you chances. Every time you said you were going to puzzle club. Every time you came home and kissed me goodnight with his cologne still on your skin. Every Tuesday for 7 months, I gave you a chance to tell me the truth. You knew. Her face went white. How long have you known? Long enough. How long? Since October 12th. 7:43 a.m. She did the math, her expression shifting from shock to something like horror. That was, you've known for 6 weeks? 6 weeks, 2 days, approximately 11 hours. And you didn't say anything. You just, what? Planned this whole thing? Hired an attorney, filed papers, all while pretending everything was normal? I learned from the best. The water shut off upstairs. Emily's voice called down, Dad, I need a towel. Hang on, Em, I pushed off the counter. You should go. I'll tell Emily you stopped by. I'm not leaving. She's my daughter. And this is my house. The house I'm keeping, according to the settlement terms you'll be receiving. You want to see Emily, we can arrange that through Rebecca. You can't keep me from my own daughter. I'm not, but you're not staying here. Not tonight. Amanda's face crumpled. Please, can we talk about this like adults? Dad, Emily again, more insistent. We are talking like adults, I said. Adults who are getting divorced. Adults who communicate through attorneys. That's what happens when you destroy a marriage. I didn't destroy it alone. You were never here. Always working. Always behind a camera. Always somewhere else. Don't. My voice came out flat and hard. Don't make this about me working. Don't make this about anything except what you chose to do. Dad! I moved toward the stairs. Amanda grabbed my arm. Please, she whispered. I love you. I made a horrible mistake, but I love you. We can fix this. I looked down at her hand on my arm. The same hand that had touched him. The same hand that had folded love notes and hidden them in puzzle boxes. The same hand that wore my ring while she planned Tuesday nights in hotel rooms. Let go. She did. I went upstairs to get my daughter a towel, leaving my wife crying in the kitchen of a house that was no longer hers. The divorce was finalized on March 3rd, 2025. 4 months and 3 days after Amanda signed the settlement agreement Rebecca had drafted. No trial, no dramatic courtroom confrontation, just signatures on documents that dissolved 15 years in exchange for asset division and a custody arrangement that gave me primary residence. I kept the house. Amanda got her car, half the savings, and alternating weekends with Emily. Derek's signed confession had done its work quietly, convincing Amanda's attorney that fighting would only make things worse. She moved to an apartment in Lincoln Park, close enough for Emily's school pickup, but far enough that I didn't have to see her unless absolutely necessary. Derek transferred to the New York office 6 weeks after I filed. His wife Jennifer never found out, as far as I know. I kept my word on that. The signed confession stayed between my attorney and Amanda's, used only as leverage, never made public. Some weapons are more effective when kept holstered. I stayed at the company for 3 more months before accepting a position at a smaller firm. Better pay, less politics, no ghosts in the hallways. My new boss doesn't sleep with employees' wives, which I consider a significant improvement. Emily adjusted better than I expected and worse than I hoped. She cried the first few weekends when Amanda picked her up, clinging to my leg in the driveway. She asked questions I didn't have good answers for. Why can't you just say sorry to each other? Why can't we be a family again? Did Mom stop loving us? I told her the truth in pieces small enough for a 9-year-old to hold. That sometimes people make choices that hurt the people they love. That her mother and I both loved her completely, even if we couldn't love each other anymore. That none of it was her fault, would never be her fault, could never be her fault. She stopped asking questions after a while. Started accepting the new rhythm of her life. Weekdays with me, weekends with Amanda, holidays split according to a calendar that felt like a business contract because that's exactly what it was. She's 10 now. She plays soccer on Saturdays and has sleepovers with Madison on Fridays. She's learning to exist in 2 homes, 2 bedrooms, 2 versions of normal. She seems okay. I watch her carefully for cracks, for signs of damage, the way I used to check camera equipment for flaws. Maybe she'll need therapy someday. Maybe she already does, and I'm too close to see it. But she laughs at dinner and builds elaborate Lego cities in the game room and tells me about school with the same enthusiasm she always had. She's resilient. Kids are, mostly. It's the adults who shatter and can't figure out how to put the pieces back together. I took down the jigsaw puzzle table, donated it to Goodwill along with Amanda's collection of puzzles, including the Chicago skyline one with the missing pieces. I couldn't look at it anymore without seeing lies spelled out in cardboard and glue. The game room became exactly that, a room for games. Emily and I set up a model train layout where the puzzle table used to be. We spend Sunday mornings running miniature locomotives through tiny towns, building a world we can control where the tracks always lead somewhere predictable. I don't do puzzles anymore. Can't stand them, actually. The idea of taking something whole and breaking it into pieces, then trying to put it back together, it feels like a metaphor I don't need in my life. I saw Amanda at Emily's school concert last month. She was sitting 3 rows ahead with her new boyfriend, some guy from her office, younger than both of us, with the kind of easy smile that probably doesn't know what betrayal tastes like yet. She looked happy. Or maybe just looked like someone trying to look happy. Hard to tell the difference sometimes. Emily performed a clarinet solo. She was nervous, missed a few notes, but finished strong. Amanda and I both stood to applaud, separated by 3 rows and a marriage's worth of wreckage, clapping for the one thing we'd managed to create that was still whole. Afterward, in the lobby, Amanda approached me while her boyfriend waited by the door. "She did great," Amanda said. "Yeah, she's been practicing." "I know, she told me." A pause. "She seems happy. With you?" I didn't know what to say to that. It felt like a concession, maybe, or an apology, or just an observation from someone who used to know me well enough to read silence. "She misses you during the week," I offered. "She counts down the days until Friday." Amanda's eyes got bright. She nodded quickly. "I miss her too. Every day." We stood there in the crowded lobby, 2 people who used to share everything, now struggling to share small talk about the daughter we'd made in better times. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I know I've said it before, but I need you to know I mean it. What I did? There's no excuse. I destroyed something good because I was selfish and stupid and I don't know how to make it right." "You can't make it right," I said. "It's just done." "I know," she wiped her eyes. "I just needed to say it." One more time. Her boyfriend was watching from the door, concern on his face. Amanda glanced back at him, then at me. He's not Derek, she said. In case you were wondering. He's a good person, patient, kind. Nothing like, you don't owe me explanations about your life anymore. She nodded. Right. I know, She trailed off. Take care of yourself, okay? You too. She walked back to her boyfriend, and I watched them leave together. Emily appeared at my elbow, still holding her clarinet case. Was that Mom's friend? She asked. Yeah. He seems nice. Yeah. Are you sad? I looked down at my daughter, her face still flushed from performing, her eyes searching mine for cracks. No, Em, I'm not sad. And I wasn't. Not anymore. Not about Amanda, not about Derek, not about the marriage that had ended in puzzle pieces and hotel rooms. That grief had burned through me months ago, leaving something harder in its place. Not bitterness, exactly. Just clarity. Some things once broken don't get fixed. You just learn to live in the after, to build something new from what's left. I still take photos. Still frame moments and preserve them. Still look for the perfect angle, the right light. But I'm more careful now about what I choose to capture. I photograph Emily's soccer games, her school plays, her birthday parties. I photograph the model trains in our game room, the Lego cities we build together, the Sunday morning pancakes that have become our tradition. I photograph the life we're making in the space where the old life used to be. I don't photograph puzzles, don't photograph promises, don't photograph the things people say when they think forever is guaranteed. Because here's what I learned. Standing in my kitchen that October morning with coffee spreading across the counter and my marriage ending on a phone screen. Trust is a puzzle. You build it piece by piece, carefully, over years. And when someone takes a hammer to it, when they scatter those pieces deliberately, gleefully, selfishly, you can't just glue it back together. The cracks will always show. The picture will never be whole again. You can forgive, maybe. You can move forward, certainly. But you can't unknow what you know. Can't unsee what you've seen. Can't unfeel the moment when everything you believed about your life turned out to be carefully constructed fiction. So you take the pieces that are still intact, your daughter, your work, your self-respect, and you build something different, something smaller maybe, more modest, but something real. Something that doesn't depend on someone else holding up their end of a promise they've already broken. Emily and I are building a new Lego set tonight. A castle, complete with dragons and knights and a princess who saves herself. She's excited about the tower section, the way it spirals up with tiny windows and flags. Dad, she says, snapping pieces together with the confidence of someone who's done this 100 times. Do you think Mom still loves you? I consider the question carefully. I think she loves the person she wishes I was, or the person she wishes she'd been when we were together. But love the actual me right now? Probably not. Do you still love her? I love who she used to be, or who I thought she was. Emily thinks about this, her small fingers working the Lego pieces into place. That's sad. Yeah, I agree. It is. But we're okay, right? You and me? I pull her into a hug, breathing in the smell of her strawberry shampoo and the bubble gum she's been chewing. We're better than okay, Em. We're solid. She hugs me back, fierce and tight. Good. We go back to building the castle, piece by piece, creating something that will stand until she decides to take it apart and build something else. That's the thing about Legos. They're meant to be temporary, meant to be reimagined, meant to teach you that destruction is just part of creation. Unlike puzzles, which pretend that all the pieces will always fit together perfectly if you just try hard enough. I'm done with puzzles. I'm done with perfect. I'm building something real instead, in a game room that used to hold lies, with a daughter who deserves better than watching her parents pretend. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's more than enough. Maybe that's everything.